But to bring it back more to the personal community, yes, let's talk about that too. Because again, I started doing this, and whether it was via van life or just the fact that I have this like online presence, look at Craze, right? Look at the family that I met there that is a locally owned
Yeah, but you wouldn't have met them.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. You wouldn't have met them if it wasn't for van life.
That's true.
How often would you go down to Fish Creek? Just as an example, how often would you do that if it wasn't for van life?
Yep.
How often would you take your daughter out and do things like the
I hope
the
I would
Christmas
do it, but,
train?
well, okay, that's
What are the odds?
Yeah, well, we can't attribute van life to the Christmas train. We have to attribute that to my cousin because she's a rock star. But yes, I know what you mean. Y'all just wouldn't have been exposed to it in that sense. It would have been more of a personal thing. But yes, it's Craze. It's Revita. It's all of these. It's the UPS store, for God's sakes, and the great people that work there.
Yeah.
Just through the fact that this is my life and I'm sharing it with people, and everybody else is being connected. You know, it is very cool. So it's just, I don't know, being me. Moving on.
Well, it's one of those things. So, okay, so this leads us into the next question.
That's
I like how
great. Look how this works.
It's almost like it was engineered to do this.
It's like a river. Sorry.
It really is. So the next question is like, so what exactly has van life taught you about you? What have you learned about yourself? Would be another way to put it.
Well, okay, the obvious one there is to go outside your comfort zone. Like that, I won't dwell on that anymore. But doing that and putting myself out there and going outside my comfort zone has led to nothing but good things. I don't know that I would have done that if I hadn't done the van life. It might be, well, why couldn't you just have done that without being in a van? Probably because I was in an awkward position, physically and literally. I went from what we all have done, the sticks and bricks, either renting or living with your parents, your family, or whatever, to I'm in a Walmart parking lot in a tin can that I built. Right? So that right there is awkward for sure. Say the question again. I'm getting off track.
No, you're on track.
I know, but
It's what van life has taught you about you.
about me. Yeah. So everything I just said about that, but also that I can withstand a lot more than I thought. I mean, I kind of thought I always could. I got this ego about myself, like, oh, I could do that, no problem. But now that I've proven it to myself, that I'm totally fine going into Walmart at 5 minutes to close and using the washroom, and brushing my teeth in this tiny thing, driving somewhere else first thing in the morning to get a coffee, and not having all of these conveniences, and being a little bit more put upon, but I did it to myself, so I'm not asking for any sympathy. I've learned that I can do that. I can be okay with it. And that kind of goes back to one of those questions like that I was getting at the beginning. Where are you going? The bathroom's a big thing. People, and I get it. Everybody gets it. Everybody poops. So we all how is that going to be comfortable? It's like, fine, but you go and you will find a way, as long as that way is not outside in the Walmart parking lot. You know what I mean? Like that I can withstand this, that I can do this. Like I said in my last video, it will always be good enough for me. And it taught me that if I can do this, I don't really have to be scared of anything else, because I'm not necessarily at my lowest low, because I feel like I've got the fortitude to always pick myself up by the bootstraps, so to speak. But experiencing this for 3 years has taught me that I can withstand way more than I was giving myself credit for. Because there was a lot of time when I was in sticks and bricks, felt like I was being crushed by debt. Like if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have gotten out from underneath that a lot faster, because I would have stopped paying the rent. It's almost like the fear of living a different way keeps you sequestered underneath that, and that pressing amount of money.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. But even back then, it was like $1,100 a month. It was way cheaper than it is now, right? But by and large, it was still this, like, if I could have not had that and just gone and lived in a vehicle, and because I knew I could, that would have been priceless to have. So now as most people know, I'm staring down the barrel of going back to sticks and bricks. This is what I want for myself and my daughter. I'm not scared of failing. I've removed that fear. Like there's no, like if I go and all of a sudden I can't make it, cool, I'll go back in the van. What? Like,
what are you going to do to me?
There's not exactly. It's almost like I've bulletproofed my way to a certain extent. Bulletproofed myself to a certain extent, right? So I love that. And it's there's a quote I use, and I kind of want to use it again. I'm going to paraphrase it because Jim Carrey said it. It's like, if you're not willing to live your life for 1 year at your lowest, then you don't deserve the life you dream of, or something like that. And I think there's a lot. That's not it at all. It's a total rough paraphrase. It's a great quote,
I get what you're talking about, though.
right? But just like you got to be willing to live a certain way and to achieve your goals, sort of thing, right? I think there's a lot of value in that. So
Yeah, another way to put that is if you're not willing to live on Kraft Dinner and Top Ramen for 6 months,
yeah,
what makes you think you deserve the $10,000 a month job?
yeah. That's a,
Like if you're not willing to make the whatever the sacrifice is, if you're not willing to make the sacrifice now to get where you want to be, then what makes you think you deserve to be there?
yeah.
So like you did it. You did bulletproof yourself, and I think that's absolutely outrageous. I think it's great.
Thanks.
We should be outrageous. Why should we go to the status quo?
Well, that's just it. It all goes back. It all like feeds into itself, right? It all does. When you really take a step back and think about it, it all makes sense. And it's just like, yeah, we spend so much time being part of the status quo and being told we need to be this way. That's how we start to feel vulnerable and like we have to be part of this, or our value is going to go down, or the worst case scenario is we're just going to fade out into non-existence, right? Nobody's going to remember us, or we're going to die, or whatever the like.
Yeah, in 100
absolute
years
worst
from now,
thing.
nobody's going to remember you.
Exactly, right? It doesn't matter. Like you gotta. Well, there was a shift, but yes, I know what you mean by that, right? Like,
Yeah.
live now the way you want to live it.
So this is going to tie in, and this is a really good quote that I'm sure Matthew's really going to enjoy. If you want the fruit, you got to go out on the limb.
Oh my God, that's great.
It's true. You want the fruit. You can't just stay there at the trunk of the tree where it's nice and safe. You got to go out on a limb.
Yeah.
It's risky. Like, yeah, and
Yeah.
how do you think you get the reward? You have to go out on a limb. Now, I'm looking at the camera because I'm seeing there's a little bit of popping up here. This is great. I'm going to turn the heat up because for whatever ironic reason, it's gotten cold out.
It's like it's winter or something.
It's almost like the sun went away and the heat went with it.
Yeah, right.
Terrible. So anyway, no, the idea is like we're doing this sort of thing and you've got a fantastic audience that is supporting you. And like,
Yep.
okay, so how has that audience shifted the way that you make your videos?
Ooh, right. I didn't remember seeing this question. How has the audience shifted the way I make my videos?
I phrased it differently than the question, but you get the idea.
No, I guess 100%. Not okay. They've definitely spoken to what they like. And as many, like, let's call a spade a spade. On the world of YouTube, shorter is better.
Yeah.
This is the assumption a lot of people have. I am in a very unique bubble, I would think, where I can put out hour-long videos that do very, very well. And that happens, I can do that every day. I did that in the month of October of 2024. I put out an hour-long video Monday through Friday, almost for the entire month, and people watched. That's crazy. But it's because I spent a very, very long time going back and forth with the community, asking what they wanted, and then testing the waters on both sides, on both fronts. Because I will always have people say, your videos are too long, I want them shorter, I got more important shit to do. And I will always be the believer of, then go do your shit. Okay? Because it's all attention span. And again, it all leads into, we want it now. We need immediate satisfaction, immediate gratification, and we want it zippy, right? TikTok, thank you very much for that stuff. But as a storyteller, I don't know that I should really say that I am a storyteller, but I would like to be, and I try to be one. I'm very bad at telling short stories. I've tried it, and the audience that shows up still showed up. But then you start looking at the other side of that spectrum, which is the financial side of things. And it makes no sense for me to put that amount of work into a short video. I will drown. So I may as well put the effort in, give the majority of the audience what they want, which is apparently more time watching my dumb ass, and almost everybody's happier, right? Right? And people can come and go and pause and, you watch some of the video now, come back, watch it later. And I don't take that for granted. I'm very thankful. I would love to make shorter videos. Who doesn't want to work less? That would be fantastic. I look at some YouTube channels where they put out one 20-minute video a week, million views. That would be great. That's not where I'm at. And that's fine because I enjoy talking. I don't know if I say that I would like to be able to do that. I don't know that I ever would be able to. I think I enjoy the process too much. I don't know what I would do with all of the downtime. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So listening to my audience that way and actually structuring the way my videos are, that's about the most direct effect the audience has had. Because other than that, like we've been talking about, I just want to make what I want to make. and be who I am, and let them. And if you want to watch, great. If you don't, don't. And that's an important attitude to have, for sure. It's going to upset some people. Like I say, you're never going to make everybody happy. There's a reason I say that at the end of every video right now. You can't make everybody happy. You never will. Don't die trying.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the most feedback I've ever taken from my audience, and we're in a good place right now, so.
So, here's an interesting thing. Being an audience member of his, now we're going to get some really interesting feedback.
Oh, God!
Because I never subscribed to anybody, like, on their Patreon. Never did that before.
Yeah.
Really couldn't care less, and I'll tell you what triggered that in a minute. But I never did that before. I rarely ever give feedback on a video. Rarely.
You mean like in the comments on YouTube?
Absolutely. Yeah. Rarely do I ever do that. I've done it probably 6 or 8 times. That's it.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that. It's because you're not interacting with me. You're just making a video that I find fun.
Yeah.
It's like you couldn't care less who or what I am.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, you've got an audience of, say, 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Do you really care about 10,001? Like, is that one individual really important? Like, in the grand scheme of things, yes, they are important to have every one individual. Yes. But at the same time, do you really care if I post a comment on there? Is that really going to shape your day?
Right.
Really?
Yeah, it's true.
So my whole philosophy was, you don't care about me. Great. You have life. Go live it. You don't care about me. And I'm okay with that. But that was my thing. Like, you genuinely don't care about me. So what I did when I went to your Patreon, what did it? You were actually the video, and I laughed at it because I saw you going to your van. I knew what you were doing, and I was like, son of a... I mean, that close. That close! What had happened, went into Walmart, saw your van sitting out here with Grace behind it, went into Walmart, was like, he's in here somewhere. I know he's in here. I know he's in here somewhere.
Yeah, you're hunting me down in Walmart?
No, it wasn't actually. We happened to be in Walmart anyway. We had to go. I think it was like we had to go to IKEA or something. We happened to be in Walmart. It was like, Matt's here. We got to go in. It's got to be done. We got to go to Walmart anyway. Screw it. We're going into this one. So we did. Went into the Walmart. Of course, can't find you. It's like, so I'm just wandering around for like 20 minutes doing what we had to do. But it was always out of the corner of my eye. I was like, was that Matt down there?
Oh, fuck.
Was he down that hallway? No, is he down that hallway? Is he down this aisle over here? And like, couldn't find you anywhere. It was like, yeah, I don't meet him. I don't meet him. Like, it's not going to make or break my day. Sure as hell isn't going to make or break his day.
Yeah.
So I figured, like, whatever. Came outside. I swear I saw you in your van pulling the curtain across.
No night. No more.
And when I found out what I was watching a couple of weeks later, I see the video where you had just been in the back, at the back of the van, not in the back, at the back.
Yeah, yeah.
You got your hitch, you brought it in, and you were changing the washers out on the hitch. I was like, I drove past you while you were doing that.
So what? Okay. So what is it? I'm gonna flip it for a second. Let's flip the script for a second.
I'm in.
So what is it that makes you want to be like, I want to go inside and see if I can find him? Because I get the like saran wrap approach to like, oh, he's a guy I watch on the computer.
Yeah.
But but what's that? Anybody can do that.
Yep.
Right? So what is it that gets you in that mood? Because you're not the only one. I hear this a lot, right? People get excited because they see me. I mean, it's just me.
Well, this is going to tie into the next question, which is really interesting. So what happened was, for me, let's not worry about that. Seriously, let's be honest. Let's be real. We're doing this live, so let's cut the shit and let's be honest. So what happened for me, the reason why is because when I was watching Chrome's video, and I missed you by, honestly, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe an hour after he was done with those, I went over there and I was...
Oh, you mean at his meetup?
Yeah, at his meetup.
Gotcha.
When he was here and you were doing the first time you were doing the van tour.
Right.
I was there maybe an hour after you, and what had happened was I didn't know that. Then it was a little while later, I'm looking at Chrome's channel, it's like, oh yeah, there's somebody from Calgary. Wait a minute, I don't know that guy. And it's like 2 or 3 people from Calgary, and it was like, I'm interested. So I started watching different channels, and like, this one I can relate to, this one not so much. So okay, right. I don't watch that much. I like this one, I can relate to it. So I watched it. And it was you that you were from Calgary, I can relate to you. And I was like, okay, let's see what else he's doing. Mm-hmm. Like, you're struggling, you're building your van, you're going through like, how the hell do I do this? Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like, yeah, and that's how I live my life. Like, I don't know what I'm doing either. And I was going through a lot of stuff in my life at the time, and it was, a lot of things were very difficult for me, but I found someone that I could actually relate to. It's like, you're sitting back, it's like, I live in my van. I work in when you were by the Chinook Mall, and you were working in the shop there, and you were like, I could just go outside and have lunch.
Yeah.
in my tiny home. Like, how
Right.
convenient
So
is this? And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm watching my life and my relationship tanking. I'm watching it tank. And I was like, there's going to come a time where I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I mean, I really don't know what I'm going to survive.
Yeah.
I'm going to rebuild my life. I've done it repeatedly,
Yeah.
which is not a good thing. But I've done it repeatedly, to be fair.
Do what
I've
you
done
gotta
it.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can rebuild my life. I can do that. That part's okay. But I was thinking, like, wait a minute, like Chrome did it. This guy from Calgary did it. And then we've got Bruce Van Life Jr. Like, I'm watching him.
My
rebuild
name's
stuff.
Matthew.
Well, I know that.
This guy from Calgary.
Yeah, this guy from Calgary. Just some random guy. At the time, you were a random guy.
That's fair.
But no, it's one of those things where, in all fairness, like that's what was going on. And I started thinking, like, you know what? If this guy can do it, and I can see you're crapping your pants and flying literally by the seat of your pants, and like, yeah, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I'm watching Chrome, and the reason why I got turned on to Chrome in the first place, just random video where he found somebody in a truck camper
Yeah.
that was off in the middle of nowhere, and he decided to give him some food and help him out because he thought he was stuck there.
Yeah.
Turns out the man actually was stuck, so Chrome gave him a bunch of food.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And I saw the video and was like, all right, that got my attention. What else has he got?
Yeah.
And I started watching videos, and I watched all of the videos. And then when I saw you,
Yeah.
I went back. I watched all of the videos, and I've been watching since.
Thank you.
Well, it's one of those things.
No, and I mean that. Every time somebody says I went back and started from the beginning, I love that. Because you got to understand, as somebody who's been creating content for that long, I can still go back and I can look at those early videos, and they've got like maybe 2,000-3,000 views, right? Or less on the time. So when I hear somebody say that, that's awesome, because you're just watching my work. Because like the work has gotten better, but the passion was always the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes perfect sense
Yeah.
because you were interested in doing this lifestyle. And it's like, if
Yeah.
it works, it works. And if it doesn't, well, I failed trying.
We'll figure that out too. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was my thing. It's like, I would rather I aim here and I hit here. It's a
Yeah.
hell of a lot better than I aimed here and I hit it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll aim up here all day long. And if I fail,
Yeah.
I still went higher than if I could have succeeded small.
Yeah.
It's like, screw you, I'm aiming big.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't date the supermodel. Like, yeah, and I get a wonderful person in my life anyway. Like, so
Yeah.
I aimed high, I hit a little bit lower. Like, yeah, and I didn't aim for a 3 and got a 2. Aim for a 10, get a 7. Like, whatever, it works. I'm not calling you a 7. Relax.
Oh my God.
Thank you for
She's a screaming 10 if you ever wanted to know. Ah! See? Screaming 10. There you go. So now here's the poignant question now, because we talked about you being an introvert and how things actually work for you. If I had another beer, I would offer
Oh
you.
no, I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm good.
Is there anything left in here?
Oh no, I'll be fine with this.
We have nothing, apparently.
We have nothing. He drank it all.
It's gone.
It's gone.
So anyway, so the idea is, like, do you find that doing the live streams, because you're always very outgoing. So when it comes to your personal life, like, you get drained, you get tired, I'm flipping done. You hit the little button, you're done. Live stream, not so much. So do you find a live stream to be energizing, or do you find it to be draining?
Both.
So the big question is, what are you going to do after this? Like, for me,
I'm gonna go have a shower and
just-
go to bed.
yeah, I was going to say, like, for me personally, when I was just not that long ago, where this would be so draining for me, it's like,
Yeah.
I go home, I get underneath my weighted blanket, I stay there for the next 2 days. You know, the world, I'm done.
Yeah. This isn't okay. So yeah, it's both. Anyways, to answer your question, it's both. Like, am I energized or am I drained? When I do my live streams, it's both. My apologies, compliments to the chef. But if you watch my live streams, which I know you have, but if anybody else, if they watch them, we hit the ground running. We start hard more often than not. I'm saying hi to everybody, and I get energized 100%.
Yep.
Every time that happens, right before I hit go live, I'm like, fuck. Not literally, but there's always this, even now that I've got however many I have under my belt, it's still just like, okay, all right, fine. But then I'm in it. A switch flips, I'm in it, I'm talking to everybody. And as it goes on, of course, I get exhausted. 100%. It also depends on where the audience is that night. Live streams are such a unique beast, and I think that's why I'm attracted to them, because there is a certain level of unpredictability to them. By and large, we're all going to do the same thing. We're going to talk about drinking, where we're from, what we like, what upgrades we're going to do, and there's going to be random stuff happen here and there. I really enjoy them. I'd love to do them more frequently than I do, but they exhaust me. Because I don't know when to stop. Like,
Yeah.
you'd be hard pressed to find a live stream under an hour on my channel. I think there's a couple, but you'll also find one that went on for 10 hours. Right? I sat in my van on St. Patrick's Day 2022 and I did 10 hours talking to the community. I can't tell you what the hell we talked about because there's always alcohol involved because I enjoy me a little drinky poo, like Mr. Leahy would say. And I enjoy that part of the community because it's more one-on-one. That's why, again, it feeds into the, my videos are long, my live streams are long. You think my videos are long? You should see my live streams. You know, I can't stop because everybody's so engaging. Everybody's asking questions. And they're not just saying, Matt, what van did you buy and what fucking fan did you install? Or how's your daughter? How's Lindsay? What's Amber up to? What are your mom and dad doing? Tell Byron we say hi. Like, there's a level of interconnectivity from what I've shared. And people, I think, well, the ones that are around all the time, they genuinely care. They're genuinely attached, right? And now we've gotten to this point where there will always be those people are there, but then there's also all of these newcomers that are coming in, and it's this constant ebb and flow. And then, of course, I do that for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. By the end of it, I'm probably a little liquored and looking forward to just being like, I'll see you tomorrow next one. Thank you. Be positive. Good night. And then I swear to God, probably 85% of the time I not pass out, but it's bedtime.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like, I'm done. I will look at my numbers because I'm human. I'll look at the numbers, see how the live stream did, and I go to bed. I'll wake up the next morning and I go on with my day. There's probably 15% where I've been like, all right, let's have some more drinks and maybe get some food. You know what I mean? But by and large, it's both, right? I get energized because I love it so much. I wouldn't do it if I didn't. But by the end, so to go back to how will I feel after this is a little different. This is one-on-one. It's still draining. And I guess that goes into, we didn't really define like introvert, extrovert.
Ish one-on-one?
Ish. Well, yeah. Yeah, but this is different too, right? Like Patreon's here, but I'm not interacting with them. So it's more just like fringe benefit, darling.
It's bonus content.
That's right.
Enjoy.
That's right. But it's one-on-one. It's a little bit of an easier pill to swallow. I've also talked about for the last 2 years when I did my Patreon camping trips, I usually do a Fallout video, right? The first year, I think Amber and I went for pizza. She made my bed and I went to sleep right here. Basically in this exact spot. And then last year, I actually got myself a hotel because I was like, no. And that's because it was a long weekend. So there was an extra day tacked on. Lovely time. Love it. That's why I will probably continue to do my Patreon meetup. But you take this right now and multiply it by 10 or 20.
Yeah.
And as great as it is, all these people are awesome. And the second year, I don't want to say that the second year was better than the first year, because the first year was new for me and everyone, whereas the second year was just new for the people that weren't there the first year. Whereas I knew what to expect, the people that were returning knew what to expect, and it was a little bit more laid back. But I'm me. I'm always going to, and since I am the quote unquote host, I'm always going to be on as much as I can be. And so it's draining. But so I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. And I got a hotel room and I had a bath and went to bed and it was glorious.
Oh, there you go.
That's it. Like, I don't know. That's just what it is.
See, that's where I wouldn't be far different. I really wouldn't. Just one of those things.
But anyways, yeah, it goes back to the fact that for those that don't know, introvert, extrovert, it just means where you sort of get energized from. So I definitely fall in the middle. But by and large, an extroverted person who enjoys people is going to become exhausted if they have to sit at home and do nothing. Right? Their energy levels are going to drop. They're going to be miserable. They're going to want to go to bed. That's why they're always like, let's go. What are we doing tonight? Let's go. Let's get out there. Let's meet people. Let's talk to people. I want to meet you. What did you do? Where are you from? How old were you when that happened to you? Where's your dad? Woo! Whereas an introvert, I can do that. But as soon as we're done talking, I'm going to be fucking horizontal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'm going to recharge by being by myself. For me, that's editing my videos. It's watching a movie. It's playing my Nintendo. It's just tuning the world out. I do that, then I'm good to go again. It's not about hating people or loving people, which is a common misconception, right? That's not what it is.
It's just your social battery.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a social battery. Like, it's
the only reason I am emphatically saying that is because for a long time, that's how I viewed it. I was like, oh, I'm an introvert. I hate people. You're an extrovert. You love people. Fuck you. We're not going to get along. Right. But then when I learned that that's not the way it is, it made so much more sense to me. And I was able to prioritize my time better.
Yeah. Well, then when you get live streams, you're going to get somebody that just peppers them in the comments. I don't know who would do that, but you can look up my channel. It's like all the time. I just pepper him like crazy. But I mean, there are times when I've watched your channel, it's like he's fading fast.
Mhm.
Like, just leave him alone. I stop commenting. I don't do anything. It's like he's fading.
You mean the live stream?
Yep.
Oh, 100%.
I'll watch it in the live stream. And it's like, nope, he's fading
Yeah.
And it'll be like the last 20, 30 minutes, like he's done.
Yeah.
It's like, I recognize that. And it's like, nope, I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm not going to pepper him with anything. He's done. Then the other times, like, oh, you little son of a, like, oh, go right after.
I do what I can to keep up with everybody, yes.
But it's one of those things, like the one time that I parked here and I was
Yeah.
teasing, like that was not planned.
Yeah.
I was coming down here just to meet with Ian.
Yeah.
And he just happened to be next to you, and it was hilarious. We had the vans all lined up, and it was fun. This is for Patreon. But with the vans were all lined up, it was like a small, medium, and large. It was hilarious. Because we had my big bus, which is about twice the size of Ian's bus, which is about twice the size of Matt's van. So it was like
It's not the size that matters, it's what you do with it.
That's right.
But anyways. You were saying,
It
yes?
doesn't matter what size rig you're going into, as long as the tunnel's small, it's good.
What the fuck?
The smaller the tunnel, the better.
Wow. Next question. Did that lead into the next question?
Yeah,
Oh,
ironically.
yeah. Ironically, tunnels and size. Here we go. What's your favorite ice cream? No, I'm just kidding.
We're gonna edit a lot of this out, by the way,
Wow.
just so that you know. We're gonna edit that out.
I'm not doing shit. This is all on him.
I'm all over it. So, other than what you show us in your posts, what does your typical day really look like?
Okay, well, I can give you an example as today because I didn't film today. So a typical day today, I'll just walk you through it. I woke up. This is not typical, though, because I went and got a massage. Not a massage, but like...
Yeah, not a happy fun time massage,
No,
but it's something
no,
that you
it's-
needed to have. Like,
yeah, right. Massage therapy. Woke up, did that, came back to the van, got the van. Like I took the Jeep, right? So let's just look at it this way. I had an errand to run this morning.
Yeah.
Went out with the Jeep, did that, came back to my tiny home on wheels, got it road ready, left the Walmart parking lot, had low power levels, turned on my new gas generator. Thanks, Ian. Powered up my EcoFlow, powered up my house batteries, got rid of some garbage, used facilities down at the park, and organized the tiny home. I mean, for me, that's almost an everyday thing. Getting the van as organized as possible, because again, this doesn't necessarily mean that a bigger space means it's easier, because you could, like we said earlier, bigger space could just be bigger mess. But in a smaller van, when you have things like I do, you got to stay on top of it. Otherwise, it's amazing how quickly it gets away on you, right? So I spend time organizing. Do I need this? Do I don't need that? Where could this live? Where could it work better? That's like the balance of my life. And this is the shit that I cannot film. It is dull. Some people love watching that. It's like, what's that chick's name? Maria Kondo or whatever? The feng shui
I'm
chick?
sure you've seen it. Oh, yeah.
Right? And like, I get that. And people love that. They love organization and cleaning. And I can't film it because I am not interested in it. So there was none of that today, right? And it was just organizing my life and then coming back, hunkering down. At this point, this is out of the normal, meeting up with somebody and doing this much content and conversation and whatnot. But then after this, it's going to be going to a truck stop, getting a shower, and hunkering down for the night and trying to get a good night's sleep. That's really it, right? If it was an actual normal day, we can remove the appointments, we can remove the interview conversation. Let's pick my little girl up from daycare, have her for 4.5 to 5 hours in the evening, have some fun, have some food, drop her off at her mom's, start the cycle all over again. That's really, my life is defined by my little girl. Always will be. Always has been since she was born, right?
Yes,
And
like you're not having a typical 9 to 5 day, though.
I'm not having a typical 9 to 5
So that's
day.
the thing. Like, you could wake up at 11 o'clock and...
That would be great.
Or you could wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, there are other channels that do both of those things.
No, that means you are affording me the ability to sleep to when I want to. I haven't been able to do that for years, but I mean, yes, I could.
In theory.
Yeah, in theory, I could try to do that. I can't, but yes, I don't, and I'm very fortunate that way. I can address my health issues above all else. I don't, but I could.
So that's where it becomes interesting, because your typical day is not a typical day.
That has nothing to do with van life. That has everything to do with YouTube. Because there was a time in my van life when I was working at the shop.
Yeah.
Right? And that typical day was, alarm goes off at 7. Get up. Pull out your poop bucket. Keep your pants up. Calm down. Use it as a stool. Brush your teeth. Maybe make yourself a smoothie. Get dressed. Maybe wipe yourself down, depending on how sweaty it was the night before. Right? Get your clothes on in a bent over position or on your knees or whatever, drive to your place of work, put up your window blockers, go in and do your job for 7:30 or well, whatever. Then I would have been up earlier, but it was a 7:30 start, right? Do the job, come out, take advantage of the fact that you can go to your home at lunchtime and make yourself something. Didn't have to pack a lunch, which was super cool. And then, the quitting time bell rings, so to speak. Go get my little girl, do that cycle, back down to Hotel Walmart, walk through Walmart, use the washroom, maybe pick up some supplies if needed, visit with friends if time allows, go sleep, start the cycle all over again. And that was a typical 9 to 5. So you can't. Right now, so fortunate I don't have to do that anymore. Don't miss it.
That is a big thing.
Don't miss it. If you miss a 9 to 5, it's only because you're a creature of habit. It's not because you actually want to earn money for somebody else.
Yes. That's a big thing.
Sorry. Right?
So we've touched on it a little bit, but let's get a little bit more specific. So how do you take care of things like your cooking, your laundry, and I know how you take care of this,
Yeah.
your hygiene and stuff like that. I know the answer,
Yeah,
but not everybody knows the answer.
for sure. No, that's fair.
You
Okay.
cover a fair bit on your channel.
I try to because again, I get feedback. I guess that speaks to the previous question about how does the audience influence the content or however it was that you worded
Yeah.
it. A lot of people say that they enjoy the day-to-day stuff. Either they just enjoy watching it because I'm just like them, or they're new to the channel and they want to see how it's done, which is exactly the same reason why you're asking this question, I would assume. So start with laundry. Well, there's no washer and dryer in the van, so it's laundromats. And I spoke fairly recently about how I appreciate having to do that. Again, full disclaimer, I used to do it at my cousin's house a lot back in the early days. Now it's laundromat because it's just more convenient for me. And I love that I've been forced to do it that way because now that I'm staring down getting sticks and bricks, I'm not limited to a place that has it in suite. Who gives a shit? That's no longer a box that has to be checked for me because, okay, I'll throw it into a bag, I'll hop in the Jeep, I'll go to a laundromat. Whereas before I would have been like, oh, no, I'm not renting a place that doesn't have a washer and a dryer. That is a must for me. So that's a small thing, but it's a thing. So that's a great day. I shouldn't say it's a great day. Calm down, not oversell it. But going to the laundromat is an easy day because I'm going to go there. I know where I'm going to be, and now I can get stuff done. Either it's going to be filming while the laundry's on, or editing while the laundry's on, or relaxing while the laundry's on. In my home, I don't have to sit in those uncomfortable chairs in the laundromat. I can go to the van that I built while it's on. Hey Siri, set a timer for XYZ, right?
Yep.
So that's definitely nice. In terms of prepping food, I try on my channel to show it as much as I can. I will say this, one of the biggest cons of a low roof van, and I can say this with confidence because I just came into the bus, is a pain in the ass. Low roof sucks. Low roof cooking sucks. I may have just addressed that. Stay tuned. But up till this point,
Spoilers!
it's been air fryer, right? It's been induction cooktop. It's been propane stove. That's great. They all work. It's a pain in the ass, though. Like, it really, truly is. More often than not, you'll see me do more cooking when I'm camping and when the weather's nice, because I can be outside on a picnic table or on my now fold-down table. Inside, I make it work for entertainment purposes. By and large, I'm really not enjoying doing it. I'm not really. I eat because we got to eat, but I would rather go to McDonald's. I'd rather go to a restaurant. I'd rather get somebody else to cook for me. It's doable in a pinch. I feel like I've shown that. Let's move on. You know what I mean? Like, I love to, it's frustrating for me because I love to cook. So that was like a big thing to sort of give up moving into the van. Other people like Simon over at Foresty Forest does amazing stuff from what I've seen, right? With his slow cooker and the other stuff that he does. I say amazing, sure, I could reel that back a bit, but by and large, he does really well. He's a small dude with a great big cooking station. See, he prioritized his cooking station. I prioritized my bed. I'm a big guy that likes to stretch out, right? But, so yeah, cooking for me, it's not ideal. If you love cooking, try for a high top at the minimum.
Yeah.
Stand up, more space to do sort of stuff like, what was the other, you said cooking? And hygiene.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, back in the early days, my cousins, usually my cousins still twice a week. If I'm extra stinky on the in-between, wipes. As simple as Huggies baby wipes all the way up to these camper wipes that, excuse me, they have that craze outdoors, right? The big body wipes. In a pinch, they work great. Because I don't like going to sleep like sticky or sweaty. I hate it. Another reason why off camera we were talking about hairstyles and way too much gel or pomade. I haven't done my hair more than 4 times since I moved into the van.
See, we're both wearing hats because we have the hair of a disgruntled porcupine.
Yes. Mine's probably a sweaty porcupine at this point.
There you go. See? Disgruntled porcupine.
Yes. It's very true. But it's just one thing I gave up, right? Because I don't want to go. I hate the feeling of going to sleep with product in my hair. And my hair is not my hair doesn't grow in a way that I can just wear it naturally. And I have confidence in it. I'm like, no, it just looks poofy or stupid. So I just wear hats, right? Problem solved. Or like Simon, he's even said he just shaves his head. I did that once. Not the best look for me. I moved past it. But then after that, it's gyms. And like I said tonight, truck stop. Like I'll go to the truck stop. And I actually like the truck stops better than the gyms because they provide towels and it's private.
Very.
Right?
That is one of the big things that, I drove truck for a little while, and it was one of the things that I actually enjoyed was when you're filling up, they give you a free shower. So like we're getting 400 gallons of fuel all at once.
Yeah.
Like if you've got 200-gallon tanks, like, yeah, you're throwing in a free shower or two for that one, like for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that's one of the things where that was nice for me.
Yeah.
So like for you, you might have to pay $15 or $20 to go and have the shower, but let's be fair, it's worth it.
Uh-huh.
Like if you haven't been to one of those truck stop showers, do it.
Especially if it's been a while. Right? Like it's like really it is when it comes to the living in a van where you don't have a shower, it's a super nice luxury to do and you're happy to pay it. And that all comes into the fact that your overhead's lower. I don't have a bunch of money going out for mortgage or rent or whatever. Yeah, I can spend 15 to 20 bucks on a shower.
Exactly.
Right? And it's oh god. Are we almost done? It's getting to that point. No, I'm just kidding.
So that would be the next question is, what is your strategy for staying warm in the winter and cool in the summer?
Oh, fuck.
Like the big question is like, okay, so you have the little air conditioner, you have the ceiling fans like I've got, like I get that. But what really do you do? Like, is it a matter of do you find places in the shade versus in the sun? Do you find like in the winter, do you find places in the sun versus the shade?
No. So in the summer, let's talk about heat first, because summer to me, and I know this will vary from person to person, but for me and a lot of other people, summer's the worst month to be in a van, especially one that you've built yourself where you're not at a campground and you're by and large in the concrete jungle. Worst, I said month, but I meant season ever, right? It's too hot. It's unbearable. So yeah, you're chasing shade. If you're fortunate enough to have something like the EcoFlow Wave 2 or a comparable air conditioner, you're going to want to use that. But by and large, you need like some sort of power supply that's better than the batteries that those things have, in my opinion, in my experience, I should say, not just opinion. Or you're outside. For me, I'm a big, hairy fucking Canadian, and I'm hot all the time. So it's as least amount of clothes I can put on, wife beater, shorts, and I'm outside, hopefully near a body of water. Now, granted, these are isolated moments throughout the summer because, again, we only get those insane temperatures a couple weeks in the summer that they get that bad, but that's what I'm doing. And it's miserable. And those are days where I may be showering every single night because, again, I don't want to go to bed feeling sweaty. I don't like that feeling, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, summer sucks and there's not much you can do about it unless you got the bank to be somewhere to run an air conditioner. It's also gotten so bad, and this speaks to the whole lifestyle. The money that you save, you can put towards a hotel. Guess what hotels have? Air conditioning. Most of the time, right? And I've done that in the past. Nope. I'm not doing it. I think that was one of the reasons after the Patreon meetup. Not only was I tired, but it was going to be hot. I'm not. No. Me and my hairy pussy are going into the hotel.
There you
right?
go.
And it's air conditioned, and you don't have to worry about it, right? And with the heat, you don't have to worry about the van. Leave it. Don't have to worry about your systems. Just turn it off and leave. There's no concern there. Now, conversely, winter, right? I love winter in that sense because it's way easier to warm yourself up than it is to cool yourself down, right? So while you hear a lot of the time with van life channels or people in general is the Chinese diesel heaters, right? And you can go really expensive with the name brand German ones or wherever they're from, or you can get the knockoffs off Amazon, which most people are going to do. And by and large, I've made it through 3 years of van life with the same heater. I just recently swapped it out at Christmas, actually, right? But all in all, that's about $400 all in for 3 years of heat. And they work great. And they work really good in my tiny van. In this, not as good. In the bus, not as good. Works, fine. But obviously, I think that just logically makes sense. The smaller the space, the better it's going to heat up with one of those diesel heaters. And they're actually so efficient that for me, I'm glad I have 2 ceiling fans because it can get too hot depending on where we are on the temperature scale, right? When it gets super, super cold, still works well. Keep it going. I'm fine. I've got insulate. That's something that I knew at the beginning of my van life. I'm going to be in Alberta, in Canada, in the winter. Even if it's only a week, it's going to be, you're going to die cold for that week.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I insulated my van. Super thick. Spray foam, foam board, just like we were talking earlier, keeping it on the wall, ceiling and the sides. The floor I didn't insulate, regret that a little bit, not game changer, but it's insulated very well, which conversely is a detriment in the summer because it retains the heat, right?
Yep.
But I'd rather remain warm than cold. So that's great. Like the heater, you can use blankets, weighted blankets, like you mentioned earlier, just for comfort, come in great when you're cold. Layering up. Sleeping bags I've used in the Jeep when I've slept, which are great. I don't have a lot of experience with them, but the one that I do worked really well for me. And then again, to go back to bring it full circle, gets too cold, go into a hotel because they also heat them. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've heard.
It's a very well kept
stories.
secret that the hotels are heating. I'm just kidding. But the difference is you don't necessarily, I don't want to leave my van in the cold. So I will still leave my systems running. I'll leave the diesel heater on a little bit lower because myself and the putty tat aren't in there. But if it's going to be that cold, I don't want my batteries freezing, especially if you're using LiFePO4 batteries, lithium batteries, right? They don't get along well with the cold. Also, it's very sad when your house gets really cold. It happened to me once where my van broke down and I wasn't in it for a few days during a cold snap, and you come back in and your curtain is rigid. It's so cold.
Yeah.
With just the fabric curtain you can like hold horizontally is crazy. You just got this air of depression about it. So I like to keep my systems going. So in the winter, even if you're not in it, you still want to keep it running, right? At least in my opinion, I like to do that. So that's it. No big secret.
Well, there you go. That's the questions that people have.
Right? It's fair. It's fair.
Like, how do you stay warm other than just with the little heater? Like, how do you do it? Now, you've answered that, which is great. But you mentioned sleeping in the Jeep. So now I really have another question for you. Mm-hmm. What's it like having 2 vehicles, and how do you compensate when you're trying to get from A to B? So you've got, like, we're in the same boat. We've got a small dinghy that goes behind. I call it a dinghy. Well, actually, I'm calling it the Toad now.
Yeah, it's a Toad. That's right.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a little tiny Mini Cooper.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. Not my flavor, it's Marcy's flavor, but still. It's her car, she can do what she likes.
Yeah.
But anyway, the idea is, how do you manage having the 2 vehicles?
So what do you say? So narrow it in. What do you mean by manage?
So what is it like from one day to the next, having the 2 vehicles?
Well, I mean, I've become it's a hard question for me to answer just because I've become so accustomed to it.
Okay, so what was it like in the very beginning versus now?
It was a little sketchy, not sketchy, but it was a little scary because I was like, how am I going to make this work? Because for the first time I moved into the van, it was like, well, I got my van. Everything's in here. I'm living in the van. I'm paranoid about the van. I don't want to leave the van. But it was nice because no matter where I went, the van was always with me, right? I think I'm very fortunate where we live because I hear a lot of horror stories from people from other places in the world where they're like, I couldn't leave my car parked there. It would get broken into. I'm like, that's a fucking Cracker Barrel. Why are so many thieves hanging out at Cracker Barrel? Where do you live? Or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
So, and I understand that there's worse places in the world to live. I think, by and large, where we are is amazing, and I've slowly become okay with leaving one behind. And it is what it is. You know, insurance is a thing. Life is life. We can't take it with us when we go. And I lean more so on the fact that I think it's pretty effing cool that I basically have a giant Lego set that I can take with me wherever I go when I want to. Like, there's something to be said for the fact that I can attach a Jeep to a cargo van and go wherever. Like, I just find that so ludicrous at the end of the day. I've kind of become accustomed to it for sure. But when I initially had the thought, I was like, can I even do this? Like, will it even work? Like, I knew physically it would work, but I'm like, why am I doing it? I mean, obviously the reason why I'm doing it is that it's better gas mileage than the van, right? And I have my little girl, and I have more running around to do with her that would make more sense in a more economically viable vehicle. Somebody's going to be like, it's a Wrangler. It's not economically. Shut up.
It's a man's choice.
Yeah. No, Jeeps are cool. And I love them. They're garbage. They really are. Mine's been great, but they have been garbage ever since Fiat took over. That's just the way it is. Now we don't have to get into those specifics there. But I love Jeeps, and I love the idea of tethering my vehicles together, and I'm just so happy that my life is where it's at, that I can do this, because it's absolutely ludicrous. I get that. Not having two vehicles, but towing one with the other. That's the ludicrous part. But no, for me, since my van life is leaning into my responsibilities as a parent, it only made more sense for me to not be bringing the entire lumbering home with me every single place we went. It's easier to pull up to a playground full of children with a bright yellow Jeep Wrangler than it is a questionably colored cargo van. Just saying.
It is what it is.
I would still do it, and I have. There's also a drawer full of candy, but let's just say the Jeep's a little easier to get away with.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. You got to show me the candy before I'm getting in the van.
Right? No, yeah, and then again, the logistics of it is you have to invest a little bit of money into it to make it safe and secure to tow something like that. And
yep.
As you know, you got to have a brake system in case the vehicle breaks away. You have to make sure that your vehicle can tow it safely to spec and all of this and whatnot. So you can't just do it willy-nilly. It's not zip ties that it's attached with and shit. But it's an investment. It's a lifestyle choice. And again, as we keep going back to, when you have the ability, because of everything else you're not spending money on, if it's not flannels, it might as well be a tow system that I'm rewarding myself with.
It works.
It
That's
does.
the big thing. So here's another question, because we're talking about the two different vehicles, so this is going to tie in nicely. What's the biggest, most memorable adventure that you've had because you live in a van?
Waking up under the bridge, without question. I've had a lot. Don't get me wrong, and I catalog it all here on the on my channel. But waking up under the bridge, the stereotypical living in a van down by the river, you can find it. It's from chapter 2 of my van life, which was the first year that I was living full-time in the van. You can't even get there anymore. And this is what breaks my heart. They blocked it off. But there was a spot just outside the city where you could get off the highway, down onto the gravel, and right underneath the bridge. I did a live stream from there after the fact, would go down there in the hot weather, great way to beat the heat. But the very first time I did it, it was myself, and my putty tats. May she rest in peace. And I woke up that morning, I opened my door, and there was a river, and there was an overpass, and I was just overcome with this sense of awe. And I said it then, and I still believe it now, you can literally do anything you want in this world if you put your mind to it. And it's just so true. And I don't know that will ever be completely trumped by any experience I might have going forward. Like I said, I've had a lot of great experiences, but that one is such an easy answer when asked that question, because it was that moment of freedom. I woke up here, nobody bothered me. I didn't bother anybody else. I don't owe anybody any money. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm on my terms. It's like it was like part you can do whatever you want, and part little boy, I built a fort and I went where I wanted to go. And it's just, I don't know, nobody stopped me. And I think it's a lot of that, living in fear of, no, I can't do that. Why can't you? Well, because I can't. It's not allowed. Who says it's not allowed? Well, I don't know. It's just not allowed. No, you can. You can go park by a river. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, why not?
Right? I don't know.
I don't have to work 9 to 5. I don't have to live in a regular sticks and bricks house.
Yeah, and I wasn't working then yet.
It's I don't have to. But that's the big thing. Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Screw you, I don't want to do it.
Exactly.
So here's another question that ties into that one. Have you ever considered giving up the lifestyle? I mean, I know where you're going, but that's not the question. Yep. The question is, when you were struggling, when you're trying to make things work, have you ever thought about giving it up?
I mean, the obvious answer is yes. I have to imagine that there have been moments where I've gotten so frustrated with the day-to-day stuff where I've had that thought. There has to have been. I can't specifically remember a moment, but I mean, it doesn't take much to get aggravated with, oh, I can't stand up. Oh, this hurts. My knees are wet. There's too much stuff in here. But even saying that now, I don't know that I've ever wanted to get out of it because of that. I think that kind of goes into the fact that I'm a stubborn person. I made the choice to do it, and it truly is where I wanted to be. So I don't think I've ever wanted to give it up in that respect. Not through frustration or regret. The only time I've ever wanted to give it up is when it came to my little girl. And it's just it works well on a certain level to a certain extent with her, for sure. And it always can. But I have ingrained in me certain traditions and certain values that I'm very thankful to my parents for putting in me that have now risen to the surface. And that's the only thing. I didn't even think it would. I was so stubborn at the beginning. I was like, fuck it. Somebody was like, when she gets older, how is she going to have friends over to your house? Fuck you. That's how. That was my like gut response, right?
Yeah.
Because I was pig-headed. And I was like, I still do believe I can make it work. If I really, truly needed to do that, I'm like, all right, we'll get a place. We'll rent an Airbnb. There are options for sure. But like I said, those values and those traditions that are instilled in me makes me want to build an actual home where she can create a space that's hers.
Yeah,
That's
you're putting down roots.
That's not in a parking lot. Yeah, exactly. Because again, family does mean a lot to me, and it's hard with the situation that I'm faced with. It's tumultuous at best, and I'm doing my best to get back on track for a family, right? So that's a big part of it. So yeah, that's about the only time I've ever wanted to give it up, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm actually really thankful for that. Huh. Interesting. Sorry, I surprised myself with that answer. I thought for sure it'd be like, yeah, Penny took a big dump, and I was like, I'm done. But nope, even that, I'm like, I'm good. I don't.
Well, there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
stuff happens. Like life happens.
Yeah, it does.
But it's one of those things. Like how do you overcome wanting to give it up? And you just said you never really wanted to. So
Yeah, I mean, to answer that question, because people are going to have that, you also might not have the option. But you can't just, it's not just a white or black question where it's like, oh, I'm in the van life, I'm frustrated, I'm just going to give it up. What if you can't?
yeah, now what do you do?
Right? You just, that's the point where you have to lean on as much positivity as you can. Be thankful for what you have. Know that tomorrow is going to be a new day. It's very cliche stuff for sure, but you kind of have to focus on that because it's so easy to get lost in the negativity for, like being like, oh, this today didn't go the way I wanted it to. Fuck that. I'm not going to do anything tomorrow. It's easier to throw in the towel than it is to press forward, no matter what, whether you're in a van or not. But if you don't have, you might not have the option to just be like, well, sell the van and get a place. Who can do that? Not a lot of people.
Exactly.
Right? So you just gotta, grin and bear it. Know that there's going to be bad days, and that's why it's like people were getting mad at me at the beginning. People, trolls. Well, they're still people, kind of, but they're like, "Oh, you can't just be positive. You can't just stick your head in the sand and just be positive all the time. It's not a way to live." It's like I never said that. I agree, but I'm not also going to always balance out the positivity and the negativity. You have to be a mature adult and realize that, yeah, bad stuff's going to happen, but it's more beneficial for you to focus on the positive things in your life. Right? So I think that's how that goes. Anyway, sorry. Got off track there.
No, that's perfectly good. So just for all things to be considered, there are quite a few questions left, but it's not super long.
All good.
I just want to make sure that you're
Oh,
aware.
rap lightning round.
Lightning round. There you go. So what advice would you give to someone who is just starting into van life? Like for an example, I'm starting into van life, but it's obviously a very different kind of van life that I'm going to have versus you.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone else was saying, I bought a cargo van and I'm going to build it.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for that guy?
You utilize what you have at your disposal. Again, to go back to the internet. If you ever have a question, don't ever feel alone. Reach out, type it into YouTube. Chances are somebody's already done it, and you're going to get inspired by it. And just always, no matter where you go, wherever you end up, be respectful. Don't ever act like the world owes you anything. Act like you still want to be part of the world. It's very easy for us to sit here and raise our pitchforks and say society's terrible, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. It's so easy to do that. But if you're going to continue to exist inside it, you got to be respectful because you're still part of that society. The fact that I can go into Walmart and use the washroom whenever I want is a privilege. So don't start your van life and think that you can just do whatever you want in the parking lot and, have garbage. You know what I mean?
Touching on that one, it's a personal thing. It's a personal. I know how you feel about this. I know how you feel. I feel the exact same way. There are some people where they're parked next to a snowbank. It's like nobody will notice if I just toss my garbage over. Like,
Yeah.
don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
There are people that and I'm throwing BC under the bus because this is where I saw it happen the most. But you've got people living like a Class A motorhome like this, where they've got a pile of, I'm going to call it crap, that's next to them that is as big as their entire rig. They've got like 4 tarps over top of it. And like, don't be that guy.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
This is a business.
Yeah.
They need to run as a business. You're abusing that.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. You're going to ruin that for everybody else.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that would go back again. What would you give this person that's just starting? What advice would you give them? You don't need that much shit. Now, that's coming from a person who's got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff, but you don't see it outside of my van. It's frustrating for me on the inside, sure, but it doesn't exceed my grasp. So I see that, and I can see that happening a lot. Like, because people are just like, well, listen, I got dealt a shitty hand. I've got all of my worldly possessions. I have to live in this vehicle. I'm not going to give up my worldly possessions because it wasn't my fault that the world decided to take a dump on me. I'm going to keep my stuff here. No. Listen, that's
not how that
You don't
works.
need that stuff, okay? Yeah, your life sucks right now. You were dealt a shitty hand. It's also just stuff. You can get it back. And like I said at the very beginning of this, I used my stuff to build my van. Anything else I didn't need, I donated, I sold to pay for shit to put in the van. You got to be able to let go of stuff. And I think I've proven too, over time, you can get it back. You can afford to get it back. Don't hoard onto your stuff and think that you are owed this. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about family heirlooms. I'm talking about the 14 patio chairs that you have under said tarp or whatever it might be.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not everybody. That's a very specific thing, sure. But
Yeah, there's a very small number of people that do that, but still.
the people
just
that
like
do ruin it for
For
everybody.
throwing something like, I'm going to throw out my clam in a big gazebo kind of thing like we have the Bears Den. So I'm going to throw something like that. I'm going to put my fire pit in it. Sure, great idea. Where are you, though? Are you
Would
on the
I?
side of a street in somebody's neighborhood? Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
No, especially not in residential. Like, don't do it at a place of business. Definitely don't do it in a residential area. You're going to jail. Maybe not jail, but it'd be worse.
Yeah, don't do it. Just don't. I don't care what the consequences are. Just don't be that guy.
No. There's no reason to.
Like, I'm all for throwing out the Bears Den, throwing a barbecue in there. Like, I've got a barbecue, like the fire pit.
Yeah.
We've got the same fire pit or a similar fire pit. Like, I am all for throwing that thing out, but I'm not doing it in the middle of a Walmart. I'm not doing it in the neighborhood. I'm not doing it in A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Am I at a park where I can do that? Am I at a campground where I can do that?
Yeah.
If I am, great, have at it. Other than that,
Yeah.
really, you don't need to be that guy.
You have to
So
be
don't that
respectful.
guy.
You got to be appropriate of your surroundings. It's just the way it is.
Well, exactly. So here's the thing. So, what is one mistake that you made in your van life journey, that you would tell someone else starting out, don't do this?
Oof. I haven't made any mistakes. That's hard.
Well, being perfect, I mean, really.
No, that's not true at all. But I don't. Okay, that's a tough one because I'd actually have to think back. 'Cause you try not to remember your pratfalls or whatever. Oof. I mean, I can go very specific and say don't build overhead cabinets where your head's going to be, because that's one thing I hated on my original build was my overhead cabinet above my counter. But in more grandiose statement, ooh. That's a very hard question. I'm not trying to say I haven't done anything wrong, but I've always tried to go back to the first question, very respectful of where I am, and I haven't had any brushes. I haven't had any pushback. I haven't had any issues. So I'm gonna have to take a mulligan on that question.
That's fair. That's fair. So let's go in the other direction then. What resources have been invaluable to you in your van life journey?
Walmart. I mean, that's an easy answer. Walmart has been invaluable. Public restrooms have been invaluable. And honestly, if we're talking very, very specifically to me, I can't ignore the fact that my YouTube community has been invaluable. Right? Not everybody's going to have that, and I understand that, but for me, it is. And I guess you could attribute that to almost any community or people around you, right, that are going through it as well. It's good to have support to lean on for sure. But yeah, the public services that are made available to you, and that's goes hand in hand. Be respectful of where you are. Continue to use those services. Right? It's a privilege to be able to do that. It's a privilege for me to go inside, use the washroom. It's a privilege for me to go to the library, have a quiet place to do some work. It's a privilege for me to go to a gym, even if I have to pay. They're there, and I'm paying for that service. Right? It's just like anything else.
Yeah.
You don't abuse other services that you pay for in sticks and bricks. It's the same for all of this stuff. It's just like you want to be like buck society, get off the grid, this, that, and the other thing. Then you need to go live in the bush.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And good luck. I hope you can do it because your attitude sucks otherwise. So by and large, for most of us, yes, I do agree with that. Buck the system. I don't agree with a lot of it, but I'm still in it. So again,
It's one of those things. Yeah, we could talk about that for another 20 minutes, but
right.
let's go into the personal question now. where are some places that you are dreaming of visiting?
Oh,
Like, you obviously can't for reasons that we talked about off camera, but we're going to keep it there.
yeah.
But where would you want to go? Where do you, like, it's travel, whether it's on this continent, Europe, Africa, Asia, wherever. Like,
Right. Well,
where do you want to go?
we'll go broad because we'll keep it around van life, but to go broad and ignore the van, I want to go to Ireland. I think that would just be super cool to go. I love the culture. I love the color green. That's all you need. That's the prerequisite to go to Ireland. That's it. And leprechauns. No, I'm just kidding. I would love to go to Ireland, though. It looks beautiful, especially from a photographer's standpoint. That's definitely overreaching just right now. So we'll bring it back to van life. And if I could, my two places I want to go to, no matter what, is I want to go out east. I want to go to the Maritimes. I want to go to Newfoundland, Labrador, PEI, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, all of that in my own country. Before that, I want to rush the Northwest Territories border just because I've never been that far north in my own province. And I just want to cross that border, say I did it in the van that I built. And if I am allowed by the universe to keep this van life of mine going for however long, I want to drive to Mexico. I've been to Mexico via plane. I just think it'd be super cool. I don't know that I would, just because of the stuff you hear. Because I would love to be able to like drive my van to like Cancun or Puerto Vallarta. Don't know that I'd make it that far. You know what I mean? So that might be a bit of an ask to drive the van there, but it would be a very cool road trip to do. Even down into the States, a little bit more would be fun. But for myself, I would love to just get back to Mexico to relax. That's about it. I don't have a lot of aspirations to. I've never had the travel bug, per se, and I've never been overseas. So yeah, I think Ireland would be the one place to go there. Have myself a Guinness. I fucking hate Guinness, but I'll do it while I'm there.
Got to drink from the boot.
Right?
There's
The
a glass
Dublin
boot. I mean, it's
know.
massive, but it's one of those things, like, you got to do it. So now here's another question for you. Do you plan to upgrade your rig? And by that, I don't mean we're going to build Lucky 3.0. We're not talking about that. Do you plan on upgrading the rig itself? Are you going to go, whether it's a newer version of the same cargo van, a high top, or maybe a ProMaster, or get wild and go with a Class A?
Yeah.
Like, what would you consider doing something like that in the future?
Yes, I would consider it. I consider it all the time for sure. And a lot of those are great. I love the idea of projects. And this is one of the reasons, if you're following me on my channel right now, the bus is such a point of contention for me because it could be a project. And I know I would make it one no matter what. And that's not where my passion is right now. My passion is very much getting back to sticks and bricks. But to keep it on point with the question, for all of those options that you laid out there, as appealing as it would be to get a high top van, like a Sprinter, and build it out, or something like this, I've been talking about it for a long time, and it's probably the itch that needs to be scratched. It's 50-50 right down the middle. I buy a bare bones cargo trailer and build it out from scratch, or I get a camper and a truck for camping purposes with my family. Those are the two routes I see myself going. And that's why I love the campers, like the bare bone campers like Scout, and there's a couple other companies out there like that. Lightweight campers that you can that are modular and to a certain degree.
As ironic as it is, you could even put a Scout on your Wrangler.
Yeah, I could. Well, no, not on the. I don't know that the Wrangler could. I know the Gladiators can. I don't know.
Yeah, like
no, you're talking not a Scout. I know what you're talking about. Those. Oh, what the hell is the name of them?
They're small enough and light enough. I thought Scout was the one.
No, it's not this. They'll fit on the Gladiators. Like where because you need an actual bed.
Yeah.
Like a truck box. So like the Rangers, the Tahoes, and the Gladiators, there are a small camper. I would not want to live in that full time. It's just too small. But for camping, it'd be perfect.
It really is.
The Wranglers themselves have. I can't remember the name of the company, but they make one that actually replaces the hard top, and it snaps on, and then it's a pop-up tent.
Yep.
Built in kind of thing. It's not Scout though. It's a different company. Those are awesome. Yeah, I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, that would be cool too. That, or like I said, a cargo trailer that might potentially small enough that Grace could tow, could be a really fun DIY build. But all of that stuff costs money to different degrees. And once I get the physical roots location for myself and my little girl, then it'll be easy to start considering other things.
We're going to come back to that one in a minute because it's an interesting topic, and I like where you were going with it because it's totally different.
Yeah.
It's not van life in a specific van.
Right.
But it's still the nomadic lifestyle.
Yeah.
I want to approach that again in a minute. So let's ask a really pointed and personal question. Feel free to ignore it. We can edit it out or we can talk about it. It's up to you. But how has living the lifestyle that you have, living in the van, the nomadic life, how has that impacted you mentally and physically? Like, I'm not saying has it been a detriment. I mean, maybe it was a super positive thing, but where has that brought you?
Mentally, it's definitely been beneficial. I know there's a lot of people out there that struggle with stuff like that. I can't sit here and start to pretend like I am a big czar or expert on that. I can only speak to my personal experiences. I guess I am very much from the generation of suck it up princess. Not to my detriment though. I've just been able to use that approach to my life as a means to get over the small bullshit that could easily affect other people, and I get that, and I'm not oblivious to that fact. By and large, though, all of the stress that could have affected me on that mental level hasn't, and it's actually been a bigger boon. And that's what I try to get across on my channel, is that you take your life back into your own hands, start living your life for you. Whatever limitations or challenges that might come your way, you're still going to come out the other end in a more positive, stronger way. And that's how I feel anyway, because I really wasn't living my life on my terms before that. Doesn't necessarily mean that van life is the answer for everybody, but it is a matter of living your life for you. No, that's why this chapter of Van Life Plus is called Captain. Like, spoilers for the end, but I kind of talked about it in the first episode anyway. I wasn't the captain of my life. I was not steering my ship in the right direction. I was allowing people to steer it for me, and I was miserable, but I wasn't aware of it at the time. It wasn't until I started doing this. What do I want to do? Because there's a lot. It's funny because a lot of people get shit on when they say, I got to put myself first. Oh, well, then you're an egotistical, self-centered prick. Like, listen, you cannot be expected to help other people until you are very secure with who you are and know what it is that you can provide and bring to the table. And I was not there. I probably wouldn't have been able to do that for my daughter, let alone anybody else. Nobody deserves it more than my daughter. But I needed to rein my life in, gain control, remove the negative people from my life that were literally holding me back and making me think that my life was only worth X, Y, Z, when in fact it was worth far more than that. And I had nobody to blame but myself. And again, like I was saying, I really wanted to do van life. I wanted it. I did it, and it helped me. It was I needed a win, and I slowly started to take my life back. So ever since then, and yeah, I get it. I got super lucky. My YouTube channel took off, and I finally got the ability to do for a living what I wanted to do since I was a little boy, and that's a huge get for sure. But it all kind of goes back to the fact that I started living my life on my own terms. So mentally speaking, it's been nothing but uphill and absolutely amazing. Physically, well, you might have been noticing me rubbing my neck for the last 45 minutes. I've had back surgery with a fusion. I've had half my toe sliced off, and I hurt all the time. But hey, take the good with the bad.
Welcome to Tiny Home Living.
That's right.
That's why I don't have a tiny
Yeah,
home.
right?
Like, screw tiny home. I'm done. But then there's another question, though, that ties into that. Have you picked up any new hobbies?
Honestly, not particularly, no, because I've always been a person that loves the hobbies that I have. There's the relaxing ones, which are video games. I talk about them fleetingly on my channel, but I come from a generation where that was a huge part of my childhood, and I still dabble in it in my adulthood, so that's nice. But again, that's for me, that's relaxing, that's unwinding. After that, my hobby is my job. And that's where, again, I'm very thankful that happened. The old saying, like, oh, if you love what you do, then you won't work a day in your life. Well, I mean, I already worked a bunch of days in my life, so I can't say that. But going forward, it is working. It's a hard hill to die on. When people come into my comments and they're like, get a job, do some work. It's very hard for me to go in there and like, listen, motherfucker, it is work. But that's a hard pill for me to swallow, because I know where they're coming from. They're stuck in the mentality that I need to be out there working for somebody else, doing 9 to 5. And so again, for me to defend my point, I know it's hard work. The amount of hours that I put in to film, to talk to the camera as long as I do, to edit it, to add everything that I do and upload on the frequency that I upload, yeah, that is work. But it's hard for me to define it like that because I enjoy it so much. So again, I got to pick my battles when people start acting like douchebags, but it is what it is, right? I can't keep arguing with morons in the comments, but yeah, that's what I enjoy doing. Where were we?
we're nearing the end.
Wildly off topic there.
So that'll help out. We're nearing the end. So one of the last questions that I have is, if you could go back in time to when you first started out, you were first in the alleyway and you were cutting up a bunch of furniture so you could make new furniture. You're doing that. You're insulating. You're putting the walls up. You could go back to that guy. The man that you are now goes back to the man that was. You could give yourself advice. What would it be?
Don't make the bed into a couch. Let's bring it full circle. There's not, I don't know what else. And don't install the overhead cabinet. I mean, honestly, everything else on my journey, I've been very appreciative of. There's nothing, I mean, I could, it's easy to be like, go back and say, get a high top. It's easy to go back and say, don't do the van, get a real job. Like, none of that's true. I don't believe any of that. I can only go back and say the tactile things that I believe in. Don't waste your time in your, there's 5 videos of me building that stupid bed. 5, it's too many. I could have just put a platform down and been done with it. But no, it had to turn into a couch. Don't do it, mother effer. And the hanging cabinet could stay away too, but, and maybe the sink's not as important as it needs to be. It all comes down to the build. I don't regret anything. There's nothing else I could tell myself. I know who I was then. I wouldn't want to deprive myself of the experience that I've had, learning what I've learned, taking my life back into my own hands. It's all been part and parcel. The actual physicality of it, the experience that I've had, the family I've grown closer with, the friends that I've made along the way, and the success that I've had, I wouldn't want to risk any of that going away. So all I can go back to and address is the actual build part of it. That's literally it. Because all that affects is me on a unfundamental level. You know what I mean? Like, I want to experience everything because I've gotten exactly where I need to be, I think. Again, I'm not an expert, but that's how it feels.
Well, absolutely. Because I think about, people ask me about my life because I've had a bit of an interesting and colorful life. If I could go back to me when I was 18, given where I'm at now, I would go back to myself and say, don't give up, shut your mouth, and stop whining. That's it. That's all I could tell myself, because everything that I've been through created the man that I am today. I'm not trading that in.
No.
Like, screw you. There were terrible things that happened. Like, yeah. I survived it.
Yeah.
Take that away from me. Go ahead. Try.
Yeah.
Like, you'll pull back a stump. That's not happening.
Yeah, and it's not worth it. It's easy in the moment when things are going bad. This is why I spent the last chapter talking about all of the heartbreaks in my life. And as sappy and bullshitty as that might have appeared to a lot of people, it's because that made a big part of who I am. And it's so easy at the time when things are going so wrong and your heart is breaking so much and you're feeling so much pain to just wish it away. But if you do that, what are you really learning? What are you taking away from it? So it's exactly what you're saying. No, push through it. It makes who you are. And by the end of it, you're going to be appreciative of what you have, for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so now, last question. We're going to, because I'm sure we're dragging
Tiger ice cream.
these poor people. Absolutely, Tiger ice cream. There you go. Okay, we're done.
Woo! No, go ahead.
So the question really is, if you had unlimited resources, you could not only get yourself an apartment, you could buy yourself a house. But just say you have a house. Don't care about the house. That's not important.
Yeah.
You have unlimited resources now. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to build another van? You're going to get a bus? You're going to get a Class C like your parents have? You're going to redesign and rebuild that? Or are you going to, what are you going to do?
I'm going to get a Ford Raptor R. I'm going to put as much money into it as I need to make sure that the suspension can hold a massive camper, and I'm going to Baja the shit out of that thing. I don't know.
There you go.
I mean, it's yeah, you say I already have the house. I already have the spot for me and my little girl. I got unlimited money. Oh, let's give it to charity. That's great. Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, but you have unlimited resources. Yeah, you have unlimited resources to do something.
Give them 99%, and I'll take the 1%, which is still unlimited. And that's what I get. I don't know. If you got to have dreams, you got to have fun. That's it. Just have some fun. You're here for a good time, not a long time. Hey,
there you go. Now that's the point.
Literally it. Yeah.
So that's the thing. So if you were going to build something, you're going to have the truck. You're going to,
if I was going to build,
kit out the truck however you like.
Yeah.
You're going to have a camper on the back. If that's your thing, that's your thing. Like, I can't yuck your yum.
Yeah. Honestly, okay, we'll bring it back a little bit more. Like, have fun, Baja truck. But I think my heart is really in a bare bones cargo trailer, because I do love building. I love the creativity of it, and the trailer is way more straight than a van. Don't have to worry about bullshit.
No curved roof, curved walls,
right.
A roof that's got a little bit of curve, and Yeah, you just square walls, square
it.
roof, and like you're done.
right?
It'll be a lot easier.
I could put a couch bed in there and it'd be Bob's your uncle.
A couch bed. Yeah, you can put a couch bed in and then never turn it into a couch again.
Ah!
But that's legitimately, that's the question. Like, what are you really going to do?
Yeah.
So, like,
I would just keep doing that, I think. Honestly, if I had unlimited resources, I would just keep doing that. I love the idea of constantly building things, of constantly challenging myself to perfect it. I mean, I did that with the rebuild on Lucky from 1 to 2. So I would get a cargo trailer. I'd build that out. Cool. Sell it. Or keep it. Right? Give it to somebody else, whatever. Then I go buy a van. Build that. Whatever I'm feeling, whatever the flavor of that month might be. If I have unlimited resources, that's what I see myself doing. Because I'm hoping the home that you gave me, there's lots of space. Well, some might flirt with the word compound. I don't know, but place to put all of this
Whatever
nonsense,
works for
right?
you.
And then whatever I'm feeling, take out and do my camping trips. Because I don't ever want to see that change. I don't ever want to see my camping trip stop. I don't ever want to see my enthusiasm for the outdoors with my little girl and my family diminish. But it'd be sure fun to have something different every time we go,
well, there you go.
right? That's about it.
The way that I look at it, and this is going to be interesting for you, the way that I'm looking at things in my life is that I'm not trying to get to a position so that I'm done, I'm there, I made it. It's like, no, I want to get there so that I have enough experience to bring someone else there. Then I'm going to go find something else. And then I'll have enough experience there that I can bring someone else to where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I always want to be progressing. I always want to be doing.
Yeah.
So like I've gotten good with photography. Like,
That's why
Okay.
hobbies like these make a lot of sense. And I've been comparing photography to the van build aspect for a long time. They're both two things that you will never be done learning.
exactly.
Right? You can never be that's it. I'm the photographer. I know it all. Nope. You can always do something to get better with it.
Yeah,
Same with building.
do
your
something
van.
different.
You can always make it a little bit better. You can tweak this. There's something else you can learn. It's never ending. I mean, you could say, "Oh, I'm done," but you're just limiting yourself.
You're just being lazy,
They're
I think.
hobbies that always keep giving.
Well, it's like I was saying, like just because I'm good with photography, like, okay, am I good with macro photography? No.
Yeah.
Am I good with events? No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well then I'm not done.
Yep.
I have more to do.
Yep.
Just like when you do your build, and it's like, okay, the build is finished. I've used it, and now I give that to someone else. I gift them what they need so I can start over and build something else.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Mhm.
But that's it. That's what we have for questions.